All right, welcome back, Memphis fans. The Tigers are going to hit the road this weekend to take on UAB. There's plenty to watch. It's going to be a new interim head coach there. You've got the high-powered Memphis offense, playoff implications on the line. Rich, I know you've been digging into this one, so what stands out to you?
Well, Ruben, Memphis is coming off a bye at 6-0, and while UAB's firing of Trent Dilfer adds some unknowns, the Tigers are clicking offensively and defensively. They're top 15 nationally in rushing at just a little bit under 240 yards per game. Defense holding teams under 17 points per game. And yeah, UAB just fired head coach Trent Dilfer, but the guy that they have backing him up as the interim, Alex Mortensen, they feel really well about him that this will be his chance to kind of show like, hey, this is my time to shine and actually get that head coach gig. So UAB, I know they're not giving up. They're giving up a ton of yards per game. What for you do you think Memphis has to prove today? This weekend.
Well, I think Memphis has to prove that they're for real. And part of, I believe that Memphis and Coach Silverfield and that staff have got their eyes on the prize while keeping their players completely focused on the week to week. So they know they can't go out there and stumble against a UAB team that is, even with an interim coach, sometimes you get an interim coach and you get a little bit of life into a team.
Yeah, they always play inspired. You see it across all sports.
They kick out a little faster. But I think Memphis knows what's at stake. I think the staff understands what's going on, and I don't think you're going to see Memphis skip a beat against UAB.
Now, do you think, we talked about it last week with Ole Miss, and it seems like it's easy to overlook this UAB because UAB is so bad. But I'd like to think in that locker room they're giving UAB the proper respect. Do you think that this game still will be a trap game for Memphis, where we could see like Ole Miss and like it's a close game that's less than a touchdown?
No, I think what happened in North Texas last weekend reminds everybody, any given Saturday or any given Sunday, right? I don't think that those coaches, the one thing I love about football is it is so methodical. Mm-hmm. On Mondays you do this, on Tuesdays you do this. We always hear coaches say, well, we're just working week to week, and it always sounds like coach speak, but that's really what football is. Mm-hmm. Football is really such a disciplined sport that there's no way that staff is breaking their routine, breaking their focus to look ahead and look past somebody that could make them stumble on their path to greatness. I just do not see it happening.
Do you feel like this has become kind of a rivalry? Because, you look at this matchup, it's called the Battle of the Bones.
Yeah.
Which I have been trying to dig into what that means. I think it's about barbecue.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is really a rivalry? Because I don't know anybody who actually really cares about Birmingham from a sports perspective. Now, maybe a city perspective, it's a little trash talk. But from a sports perspective, what do we got?
I'll say this first. Don't go to Birmingham anytime soon.
I was there not too long ago.
They're going to be looking for you. Talk about how bad they are. No, I'll say rivalries are built when either by proximity or by pride. Hey, we're both fighting for the same thing, and it's a battle back and forth. OU, OSU, OU, Texas. Those rivalries are built on those types of things. I just don't think UAB and Memphis have enough of either of those two things for it to be a true rivalry. And I think that you're talking about two different programs that are going two totally different directions. Right? You'd be more likely to have a USF-Memphis rivalry than you would have a UAB-Memphis rivalry, because USF, at least, and Memphis are both striving for the same thing. So there's a common denominator there that makes them rivals. I just don't see UAB. And I don't want to overlook UAB, and I'm not trying to downplay UAB. I'm just that confident in what Memphis has shown me week after week after week, which is if they're going to find ways to win against SEC teams, they're dang sure not going to show up and drop the ball unprepared against a team that they know that they should and have to beat to continue their journey.
I'm glad you brought up USF, because that's what's next for Memphis. And we found out this week that the Memphis USF game will be at 11 a.m.
Got to get up
So
early.
we've already been talking about, will College game day come to Memphis? Do you think that, it's not impossible, an 11 a.m. kick.
11 a.m.
It's not impossible, but obviously Memphis has to take care of business against UAB. But if both teams take care of business, how are you feeling about game day coming?
I would love it if game day would come for a variety of reasons. It would spread the love amongst the college football programs. Right now, game day is almost always at an SEC. It's always at a P4 conference game, almost always. So if you could get a Group of 5 conference game as your college football game day game, that would be huge. It would show that your work doesn't go unnoticed. But I just think it's hard pressed to do it because you're still talking about game day needing to appeal to the largest amount of audience as possible.
But sometimes it's still cool to kind of have the little guys, the American.
I'm not discrediting that. I'm just saying I'm thinking about it from what what ESPN is going to be thinking about.
And I mean, I know one of the candidates for game day that week was Ole Miss OU. Well, now Ole Miss is this weekend at UGA, so that kind of takes the game off the board. Yeah, and OU lost. So, I mean, I don't know. You would talk about a top 25 showdown. I mean, I talked with you earlier this week. Memphis and USF now have the highest probability of making the playoffs out of the 9 Power 4 conferences.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying with that 11 a.m. kickoff, it's not probable.
Yeah.
And that's,
it's a tight turn.
Yeah, traditionally.
It's like immediately you get off and then boom.
Yeah, that's just real tough, especially considering what they like to do throughout the course of that morning. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's not probable based on the 11 a.m. kickoff. If they had kept that kickoff as TBD until after this week, then I would have said, oh, there's a really good chance. But I think being on game day would be great for Memphis, but I think that's just, that would be flower, that'd be icing on the cake already. They're building something which is they have a chance to do something really special. And being on game day would be a great flower in your cap, but it wouldn't be what you'd hang your season on if you didn't win.
What's kind of stood out to you about Memphis offensively? I mean, I know on this program I talk a lot about Brendan Lewis and Cortez Bram, but for you, we don't really hear you kind of say what you feel about what you've seen.
I think they are the epitome of Memphis. They are grit and grind on the offensive side of the ball. They are not flash and bang. Every now and then you're going to see a ball 15-plus yards thrown. But mostly it's going to be designed runs, quarterback keepers. We're going to grind it out. We're going to pound that ball into the dirt, and we're going to make you stop us. And that style of football fits perfectly for the city, for the culture, for the team that they've put together. So I think when I watch Memphis football, and I don't, if you don't know, I've been doing sports for a long time. So it was ingrained in me a long time ago that you don't cheer, you just report.
Yeah.
But I was cheering with that Arkansas Memphis game. I was at the house like, oh, let's go, because I just, wanted them. You wanted them to prove that they could do it. And so I think Memphis's offense is a perfect microcosm of Memphis itself. Grit, grind, and fight to the very end.
I'm glad that you said that on this program because y'all were looking at me crazy when I said that about Ole Miss because that's kind of how I feel the same way about Ole Miss. But with this being the first game back from Memphis, we always talk about extra preparation versus possible rust. Do you think that there's a chance that, especially with Memphis, they're shown that they're a second-half team. Yeah. Do you think that we could see those things where it's a slow first half and then you got to turn it around in the second half?
You're absolutely going to most likely see that. Just like, I mean, that's why coaches hate late bye weeks. You'd rather have a bye week in the first or second week. I think someone would do without the bye week if they get away with it altogether. But you love the rest for your players, but you hate the fact that you're going to have to fight against, again, football is a routine. So for a whole week, your guys have been out of routine, and now you got to get them back in routine.
On the road.
And on the road, all those things matter in football in a way that they kind of don't matter to the same level in other sports. Football, for sure, is just built that way. So I think you could expect to see a little bit of a sluggish start, but then just, again, given the way that the mentality of that team and that coaching staff is, that grit and grind and fight mentality, I don't think it lasts long. I think it's in the first series or two, and then everybody gets together and says, all right, let's get right to what we need to be doing. Because they are still going to be on ESPN, right, or ESPN or ESPN2. They're still going to be on a nationally televised game. You still want to put together a good performance.
Well, they will have to put together a good performance going up against UAB. They have to prove that they are no fluke. We will be watching that game this Saturday. And, of course, we will talk about it the following week after. Ruben, we got to take a quick break.
Yeah, let's take another time.